Hi, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for December 23, 2019. A few thoughts that I had on the predictions I made last week. I think, again, I didn't have time, honestly, to track every single day as far as the market direction. I think I got at least 2 dates correct, and at least one day I think was wrong as far as the direction of the market. Couple highlights. One, I made a prediction for December 8th through the 22nd that there would be positive influences or positive news for areas related to IT, telecoms, like electric power companies, electric car companies, etc. And I did see that on December 20th, there was news that the Tesla company's stock had reached all-time high. Obviously, that by itself is not just this one, example, does not necessarily speak for all of the industries. We have other companies like Boeing that obviously are not necessarily having the best time in their lifespan. However, I just thought that was an interesting highlight there. Speaking of Boeing, as a side note, I remember looking some months back at their company, specifically for that particular company, and unfortunately for them, I don't think there'll be an improvement in the near future. In fact, it kind of looked, I think it was for 2020, where the chart kind of looked similar to, or the trends looked similar to when there was the Boeing bust. I forget when it was again at this point, but some years back, where a company really had to slash a lot of employees, and et cetera, et cetera. So the other thought I thought was interesting in the highlight, and I know I'm being selective, but it's just something that jumped at me. I made prediction for December 19 and 20th that there may be increased probability of news about a transportation accident, specifically related to foggy weather. And even as I was saying it, in my blog, I just wrote transportation accident. And I think in the video, I did specifically say it could be a car accident. And when I actually was writing the blog, I did think in my mind's eye that there would be a car accident due to fog. And indeed, I saw that a couple days after my prediction. On December 22nd, there was news about the 69 car pileup in Virginia, and there was a fairly major accident, and that was due to the icy conditions and foggy conditions on the road. So let's see. So now let's move on to the predictions for this week. And the ongoing global influence is the Saturn conjunction Pluto and Capricorn, usually coincides with major geopolitical changes, accidents like disasters, especially like mine collapses, earthquakes, etc. And for this week, the peak days for this influence and in general, like eventful dates, are December 22nd and 27th. So these same dates actually are looking important for horoscopes of US and China. For US, there may be increased focus on international agreements, laws, lawyers, immigration, tariffs, so anything that has to do with contracts or legal obligations, contracts with international partners. And indeed, we may hear about important agreements being signed or laws passed, or some expansion happening again into overseas, or involving kind of facilitation of international shipment, movement of goods, people, etc. Let's see, and at the same time, we have danger again for US specifically, that there may be something that maybe is expanding either too fast or out of balance. Out of balance could be something along the lines of like agreement is drafted, but details are overlooked, and so something is overpromised, or the timelines are too optimistic, and later on this will have to be scaled back, or simply the promises will not be able to be kept. Timelines will be, readjusted, etc. Or something that's, like I said, too optimistic, where it's just the expansion cannot be sustained over a long period of time. Or imbalance could be in terms of the agreement is not favorable for one party as much as it is for the other party, because again there are too many because again, something was kind of done in optimism, like happy sort of thinking, oh yeah, things will work out, and maybe things should have been put in paper and in detail rather than just kind of on this optimistic hope. And specific areas where those agreements, and of course we think China, and indeed China will have also transits around the same time to its horoscope, but specific areas for US that may be featured in those agreements, or could be not necessarily agreements, but some legal decisions, laws passed, etc., will likely relate to farming, food production, real estate, banks, as well as areas like steel, minerals, mining, coal, large-scale engineering projects and construction. And for China, again, this week also looks like it will have important transits, particularly December 27, I think, will be the sort of peak day. And for China, there's ongoing influence that kind of gives them sort of additional boost, sort of, and transformative powers in the area of healthcare, oil, navy, chemicals, biotech, water, pollution, all those Neptunian areas. And these areas already have been undergoing transformation starting in 2018, and this will continue into 2020. But right now, like I said, the 27th is key date for this week in general, but for the upcoming few weeks, January of 2020, we'll see really some important news coming up for China, and specifically, I think between January 2nd and 13 is when we may hear some kind of important news, and they may involve either, in those similar areas as I just mentioned, like healthcare, oil, navy, or pollution, water, or something that's hidden, maybe religion even, movies. So there may be either some announcement about major infrastructure or governance changes, large-scale accidents, some sort of restructuring, major reforms, renovation, major expansion. So something where something perhaps was already ongoing, but it was hidden and now it's revealed. So some sort of innovation or scientific breakthrough is revealed. Or something, like I said, is an accident, and something is revealed because, things collapse and the mind collapses, and basically whatever was on the bottom is now coming to the top, or the reveal could even be where it's something that's been hidden under literally water, under the ocean somewhere, and it's now revealed. Something is excavated. And along those same lines, of course, this could be a positive discovery of maybe some archaeological sorts, where something, amazing is excavated, like I said, the scientific breakthrough, or something is revealed where, maybe some changes were happening. Maybe there's a large-scale project that's been pending for some time, but now it's going to be kind of the veil will be lifted, it will be revealed, could be in navy, oil, biotech, chemicals, maybe discovery of some chemical, discovery of some oil deposit, who knows. At the same time, there's also increased probability for China for this week and into January 2020 of strong earthquakes, accidents, and something that may lead to massive pollution, or vice versa. Could be a project that is, full speed ahead to fix the pollution. So, like I said, that could be a positive manifestation. And I already mentioned the earthquake possibilities and for China for some time, but January 2020, as I'm sure other astrologers have mentioned, where we will have Pluto and Saturn conjunction, and Jupiter is going to be joining them. It will be really sort of a very transformative time, both globally, and it so happens to also fall an important area of horoscope in China. So it could be earthquakes, in the world, but and I haven't looked at every single country. I was just tracking mainly US and China just because of their effect of their negotiations on stock market. But it does fall in important area of chart for China. So it could be something that happens there. Again, could be positive or negative, but transformative either way. So let's see. So moving on to predictions for individual days of the week. I had basically made prediction that the likelihood that the market will be going up, I think, is greater than average for every day of the week. So in other words, that the market will be going up We have, of course, Wednesday markets will be closed in the US. Other than that, I think markets will continue going up throughout the week, and 26, 27, which are Thursday and Friday, will be the most optimistic dates, where the market will be going up kind of even more than Monday and Tuesday. So then on Monday, specific prediction for Monday is that there might be positive news, such as earnings up, or new popular leader is elected, or restructuring has, paid off for banks and financial institutions. For US, Monday, Tuesday, December 23rd and 24th, may see increased focus on topics like earnings, profits, fashion, sugar, precious stones, jewelry, as well as healthcare, social care, workforce, and service industry. So any time needy people need help, or service workers like, say, nurses or something like that, postal, workers, etc., people who provide a lot of services, they may be featured, and there might be some positive news for those areas. So, for example, it could be like maybe issue of minimum wage may come up, and some group of people will receive a raise, or some of their conditions might be improved, or there's positive news for the US, for the workforce, perhaps the jobless rate diminishes or something like that. And the issue may be that may come up where the problem may be clarified, or demands are clarified, say, of the group that asks for more wages, or the obstacles are identified. So perhaps things are not necessarily, the change doesn't occur at that time, but sort of the path to success may be identified, and the clarification may involve basically what is not wanted, or what not to do, or some basically bad options may be rejected at this time, but this at least gives a better sort of a clear path for how to achieve what is wanted. So for Tuesday, market up, and also increased focus on oil, gas, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, navy, wet weather, excessively wet weather, beverages, movies, etc., religion. There may be some increased news, and I guess this is influence that always good for that date, so it's nothing super major, but there may be some increased news about disruptions in shipping, long distance transportation, confusion or deception in legal matters, or confusion about lawyers, or who said what, will this law be passed, or some legal problems due to some international connections. Again, those will be on a relatively sort of localized small scale, but not necessarily the best time to enter some legal agreements just yet, because some things are still going to be in the air. There'll be some confusion. Wednesday, US markets closed. Thursday, things are looking good, and Friday, things are looking good, specifically for those two dates. In general, transits look positive, and I believe they look fairly positive for US, again with the caveat that things may kind of be overdone, over-promising, overly optimistic, and not sustainable long term. But at this time, I think that those will be two dates filled with optimism about international agreements. Indeed, there may be decisions made about tariffs, import-export, restructuring at either governmental level or on the level of large corporations. So maybe large corporations, that are established, have been around for a while, they make some changes or sign some legal agreements. But again, this is going to be probably perceived positively, and market may react, with optimism. And so these agreements may involve, or contracts may involve, large-scale or long-term projects. And these projects may relate to construction, steel, mining, coal, land cultivation. So again, some large, manufacturing facilities established, and it takes a lot of space. Of course, there might be concern around land pollution, or it may have to do with farming, either supporting farmers or changing farming somehow. And also, of course, shipment, long distance, as well as anything that has to do with, basically involves like engineering projects of some sort, again, large scale, so something like railways, bridges, infrastructure projects, tunnels, pipes, pipes for, say, oil, or just, communication or something like that, roads, manufacturing plants, and or even development of farmlands, or preserving large, spaces somehow. So maybe repairing old buildings. So this could be something that, large corporations take on, or some governments announce plans to do it. Again, it could be individual governments, such as, for example, China or US individually, or it could be part of some sort of international agreement, or multinational corporations. They involve, other companies, and some large scale projects like that may be announced, or at least, begin sort of developing. And so let's see, and sort of like a positive week, I guess, in that sense. Also made an update and to my blog at telstunka.com. I publish a weekly blog with all these same predictions. And let's see, and I did make obviously some already many weeks ago prediction that from December 29 of this year through about January 15 of 2020, we will have a really sort of intense time where we, on the one hand, may have some increased, number of really massive earthquakes or disasters. Could be even, man-made or natural, like earthquake, mudslides, storms, power loss, like some hailstorm or something like that, cause least loss of power, increase in contagious diseases of some sort of epidemic, like Ebola or something like that. Could be even a nuclear accident, collapse in a recycling plant or mine. But then I also wanted to add, positive sort of probabilities. So as I said already, I guess we can see it in China, but it could be globally anywhere. Positive manifestations could involve like a scientific breakthrough and or announcement of a large infrastructure project that really is going to help sort of humanity, I guess, for a long time, like a really massive bridge that's really like unites places where people couldn't easily, I guess, basically travel, or a tunnel or something that's been like in disrepair. Maybe an old ancient building is not finally getting recognized, as important enough for preserving it for humanity. Or it could be really interesting, which, I would personally be excited about, if there would be some sort of a cool archaeological discovery of some, ancient relic or something like that, and it's going to maybe bring some interesting knowledge with it. It could happen under like soil underground in the mountains, or it could be underwater somewhere. And of course, it could also mean, on the one hand, there's a negative probability of some really major change in the status of some sort of a like nation or state. Again, entity that's comprised of pieces, falls apart. The status of those sort of entities, the sub-entities, changes. At the same time, it could be, positive manifestation, could be a breakthrough where maybe there's a standoff between the entities where, everybody's like in early January, mid to mid-January is basically concerned about. And yet, finally, at that time, there might be a breakthrough, a legal agreement is reached, and, things are being pulled back. And so this tense situation perhaps is, relieved somehow. So those would be some positive probabilities. And again, also increased as far as like the areas manufacturing, like of large scale equipment, large scale projects, also mining, and of course value of things that are related to their equipment. And could be, in question, maybe value of equipment goes up or down, availability of the equipment, again, that's used for mining, laying pipes or something like that. And or, could be, I guess, this Nord Stream 2 project maybe, or something along those lines where it's really large and scale project that involves multiple countries, involves a lot of like metal, involves a lot of like digging, etc. And so there may be some changes there where either something is legalized, something is excavated, or something is kind of revealed about it, or perhaps there's a major accidents. But like I said, going back to specifically market, there could be either overabundance of such materials, like too much steel or something like that, so the prices go down. Or I think it will be more along the lines of overabundance, maybe too much coal is available, it's too easily available. So perhaps that will be along the lines of something just kind of overblowing out of proportions, perhaps in terms of availability, like things are going so smoothly, so easily that basically there's no stopping and things are being flooded again has to do with like literally mines, coal, steel, some sort of minerals, or even equipment that is used in such industries. As well as industries that may be related to like recycling, nuclear power, as well as spying or hacking. So again, maybe news about spying, and again, something that cannot be stopped, and things are revealed that have been going on for too long, and it's just on a really massive scale, for example. So let's see. So that's about it. I guess that should wrap it up. And I am still working on predictions for next year. Not so much that I'm working and writing things down, it's just I need to find time to actually record the video. But this will be definitely an interesting year with a lot of really important transits. So 2020 definitely an interesting year to look forward to. And like I said, January 2020 is not too far from now, and it will definitely bring some interesting, important news for many people. So I hope you're enjoying your holidays or just your week as it is, and I'll catch you guys later, and hopefully I'll be posting the New Year predictions soon. Okay, see everyone, bye.